homesteading to prepping to common horse sense, we are College Hill Farm. Welcome back to College Hill Farm. Today it's time to stake our indeterminate tomatoes. Now I use these big old cages, and I show you how to build them. You can go back and look at our build on our video about building lifetime tomato cages. These things are invaluable. As a matter of fact, I didn't build this cage. This cage came from my grandmother, Mom's mom. This cage has been in my family for probably 45, 50 years. Okay? You build these, you'll give them to your kids. Now, we're going to stake our indeterminate tomatoes. An indeterminate tomato is a tomato which keeps growing throughout the year. A determinate tomato is more of a bush tomato, and it only gets about 4 feet long. But these big old indeterminates we grow, and the variety we're staking today is Cherokee Purple and Sun Sugar. So we're going to stake those, and they will grow through this and out the top. Now I'm a little late getting these staked. That's the way life goes. You don't always get to do things when you want to do them. My plants are a little big. We had a storm the other night and they fell over. Well, that's what tomatoes are going to do. They're going to grow 11, 12 feet long. These big old indeterminates, right now, they're probably, I don't know, 2.5 feet tall. So they've got a long summer to grow and get great big. But we're going to put these cages on them. And I used to take, and before we moved to the homestead, I didn't have nearly the tomatoes. I think I've got 70 indeterminates this year. So I found a better way to stake those. I used to stake them with individual stakes. Well, really one stake for two, and I'll show you that in another video. But when we stake these things, if you use individual stakes, that's a lot of pounding. Well, I'm going to take and do it by using some old fence wire I had, and not fence wire, electric fence wire that was here on the property, and some old posts that were here on the property. So my staking is free. Okay, it was already here when we bought the property, and it had to be removed so I could mow where it was at. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting those in the ground. I've got a T-post here. Oh, while I'm thinking about it, those of you that are new to our channel, I'm Joel, my wife is Crystal, and we homestead 9 acres in central Kentucky. We moved here 6 years ago from a small half-acre piece of ground that we've grown a lot of food on over the years. But we moved here about 6 years ago, and about 3 years ago we started the channel. And I'm a retired physics professor, she's a retired registered nurse, and we just are enjoying life here on the homestead. So come along with us, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell, and it'll notify you when we upload a video. Now, that's just a little bit about us. Alright, I'm going to take and put in a T-post. And what I want to do is I want to put a T-post about every 5 to 10 tomatoes. Anywhere between 5 and 10. Might be 8, whatever. Down through here, I'm going to put one T-post. And then we'll show you what we do for that. Now, I'm going to start off here and put this first T-post between 2 plants. I'm not going to put it right at a plant. I'm going to put one T-post right at one plant so I can fasten to the T-post, but the rest of them will get fastened a different way. So I'm going to put this T-post in, and you want to leave a little bit of room so that you're not affecting the roots of your plants. For those of you out there that have never done this lifestyle, you can drive this in with a hammer, but it being over your head makes it really, really hard. Well, this is a T-post driver. You can get one for about $30 at Tractor Supply or Lowe's or anywhere. it just, a piece of pipe, you could actually make it out of a piece of pipe if you wanted to weld it end on it. It just slips over, and all you do is work it up and down. Let its weight drive the post in. Don't be pulling down on it. It makes it hard on you. You don't have to do that. So let's put this post in. Okay, that's it. I just drive it. For staking these tomatoes, they're not that heavy. I drive it just enough to get the top of the tang. And when I talk about the tang, let me show you. This is the bottom of the post. As I drive it, it drives this in the ground. And what that does is when it goes in the ground, it keeps the post from twisting. Okay? So that holds the post steady so it can't twist and stuff. So it doesn't really matter. This post has got these little knobs on it, up and down. Show you that. It's got these little knobs on it. So when you put wire, it's going to hold here and won't be able to go up and down if you put it tight. Now that's the first one. I need to put in 2 more and then we'll start caging these. Now the truth is, I even use these bent ones because this ground is plowed about 6 or 8 inches down. It's not a problem to put these bent ones in. Hard dirt, you'd need to straighten these, but I don't worry about straightening them in this soft dirt. So let me get this one in. I'm a little old and fat for this stuff, but now I don't throw away stuff like wire. Okay, this old electric wire, this is about a 14 or about a, I don't know, probably a 17 gauge fence wire, electric fence wire. This one's a little bit bigger. It might be a 15. I doubt it. It might be a 15 or 14. This is about a 17, and it really doesn't make a lot of difference. It can be a 12. It don't matter. All it's going to be doing is holding up tomato plants. Now, I've had people comment that that'll blow over. No, it won't blow over. I've had them in 70-mile-an-hour winds, and they didn't blow over. So, put that to rest right now. So, I'm going to use these 2 pieces of wire. Again, I don't waste nothing. These are old pieces of wire that came from an old electric fence that was here, and I could only take it out in segments because it was growed up in weeds so big when we got here that they were over my head. So, and honeysuckle vine was all tangled up in it. So there were sections I had to cut out in small sections. Well, that my tomatoes don't care if the wire runs the entire length. And as a matter of fact, you need to have a break in your wire. I do 3 posts and then I skip a section and do 3 more because you need to be able to walk through, or else you have to go all the way from one end to the other in order to harvest your tomatoes. You can't go down, step on the back side and come back up, because you've got to go all the way to the end of the row if you want to come across, if you take this wire and make it go the entire length of your tomato bed. So I'll put these wires on and then we'll come back. wires up. Knottiest stuff in the world. I had to cut and cut. Don't matter. You can splice wire back together. Not a big deal. So I've got that cut and on the post, but that's not the next step is not putting the cages on yet. The next step is making sure you get rid of the weeds first. So go down through here. Okay, that's enough to get us started. Every weed you leave now that's in close to the plant is a weed you'll have to come back and hand pull, because once they're caged, you can't get your hoe in there. So I don't want to come back and hand pull a bunch. Up, see another. I don't want to come back and hand pull a bunch because that's just hard on your back. I don't want to do that. The next step is to use this. This is a jute twine, not nylon. Okay, don't get nylon, you won't want it. This is jute. I prefer cotton, but the truth is this will rot up by the end of the year too. So always use a natural fiber. That way it'll just rot up in the field. Nylon will be there forever, and it'll be wound up in all your implements, your tillers, your bush hog, everything. So don't do it. Now, first off, I take this twine and get it started where it's supposed to be, and then I just take this whole roll. See, it pulls out of the center. I just take this whole roll and stick it in my pocket. You can stick it in a shirt pocket if you want to. It doesn't make any difference. My shirt pocket's too little to hold it, so I'll put it in my pants pocket, and I can go right down the row, and it's always available. So let's get started. I start off with the first tomato plant, and I want to pick that up and put this cage right over it without damaging it as much as possible. I'm going to damage it some because I've waited too long. There we go. I haven't damaged the main stem, so it'll come right out of that and stand right up when the sun gets on it. Now, what am I going to do with that? Let me pull you up here where you can see. I start off by just taking this cage, and in this one instance it's here at the end of the post. So I'm just going to tie the cage right to the post. But I'm not just going to tie it in one spot. Okay, that's probably not enough to keep it from falling over, to keep it from breaking and falling off. I'm going to tie it in two. That's why I ran 2 wires down the field. Now, you can use dollar store cable ties for this. They work just as well. Okay? Now, I don't stake, just so you know, I don't stake every tomato. I stake every other one. I cage every other one, and I'll show you why here in just a second. Let's cage another one. This time we're going to cage it on the wire that's here. Had I have done this a little sooner, this would be a little easier. But I didn't do that. So now, pick this up. Broke one off. It'll be all right. The tomato cares, but it don't care. Now that the tomato's in there, I just tie it right to this wire. And I make this long enough so I tie it here, wrap it a couple times, then come over here, wrap it a couple times, and back, and tie it off. Now with a cable tie, I don't have to do that as much. But with this string, I like to get a couple of layers of string holding on. Then down here on the bottom, then, we'll do the same thing. We'll wrap, a couple wraps, need it longer, and then come right over here, a couple of wraps, and back, and wrap, and tie. And that's how you cage these big old indeterminates. Now, as these grow, they're going to grow all the way out the top of this, and then all the way down the other side. Now, what do I do about the one that's in between? Okay, let me say this one time, I have 70 tomato plants and about 40 cages. So I don't have a cage for every plant. You got to remember, your homestead is a marathon, not a sprint. So you're going to have to come up with ways to take care of these things until you can get enough of what you need. So all I do is I come down here, and I'll do it from the back side so you can see. I come down here on this tomato cage. I tie a string, then I take that string, take it here, well, being that way, I've got it on a small part, take it there, fasten it over here, fasten it, loop it twice, loop it once, pull it tight, over here, do the same thing again, and over here, loop, and then over here, and I'm going to tie it off this time. Now I come around to this side, and I'm going to do a similar thing, only this time I'm just going to pull out a bunch of string. This dollar's worth of string will do about 30 of these tomato plants. So come down here, tie that off. Then I just weave it, lift that up, come on, tangle up, and I just weave this in and out of this plant. Okay, I've tied off right there. That's all I got room string enough for. Now, as this plant grows, I'll keep weaving it in and out of that string, and as it gets up to here, as it comes up, I'll add more string, and that tomato plant will come all the way up to the top of these cages, just like the others. So I stake, or I cage, every other plant, and then I string between the two cages. Okay, I've got 70 of these to do. I probably won't get them all done today because the sun will come up and I won't like that. So I'm going to get started at it. Now, one quick note before I go about using this method. When you put this wire on, here's my lower wire. You want to leave that up enough so that your hoe clears easy. Okay, the tendency of some people is to want to put that right on the ground or down low. Well, the problem with that is you can't effectively get in around your plant with your hoe. Okay? Now, you could say, well, let's make sure I'm not getting that plant. You could say that what you want to do is put it down low. That'll hold the cage more firm. But the truth is, as the year goes on, you're going to need to get in between these plants. Now, in the cage, the plants will pretty much shade out the weeds. You might have to pull a few by hand. But during the summer, you're going to have to get in between these tomatoes and chop these weeds down. Because you get a bunch of weeds, you don't get a bunch of tomatoes. Now, if you like this kind of stuff, this homesteading, do-it-yourself kind of thing, be certain to come on out to the channel and subscribe. We do this homesteading stuff every week, sometimes 1, sometimes 5 videos. Just depends on what's going on in the homestead that week. If you hit the little bell when you come to the channel, it'll notify you when we upload a video. We upload every Sunday. Now, with that being said, it's time for me to get on to the next thing and get these tomatoes caged before the sun gets on them.